Hi guys, it's Flaxy. A few of you have been asking me about how to read the ArcDPS reports that I've been posting, so I thought I would just make a video so you can watch it whenever you have a few minutes. I want to start by saying I don't know everything about Arc. I'm doing my best and I'm still learning. A lot of what I figured out was just from clicking around and looking at stuff, and also from an article on snow crows, and I'll link that in the description. I'll also link the little video on how to install Arc and to enable logging if you want to make your own ARC reports. And if you are making your own ARC reports, you want to upload them to this website here, which is called dps.report. And really you just drag and drop them in this area right here. If you don't know where your ARC reports are being logged, you can go into Guild Wars 2 and press Alt-Shift-T to open up the ArcDPS options menu. Go to the logging tab, and down here it says open, and that's where your ARC files are. And all you have to do is go to dps.report, drag them here, and it will create them. So here we are on our ArcDPS report. You can see at the top we were in World v World in EBG, and that the duration of the fight was 6 minutes and 43 seconds long, so pretty long fight. Down here is all the information of the players in our squad. I made this an anonymous report, so it's hiding all the player names and accounts. But normally when you mouse over here where it says player 1, it'll say the player's character name, like Flaxy, and the account number will pop up. So mine is like spiral.1234 or whatever it is. And I just didn't want to give away anybody's information. You can also see that these are all our parties, like every line is a party. So this is all party 1 at the top, then party 2, party 3, party 4, etc. You can see the class that everybody's playing. If you don't recognize the icon, you can mouse over and it'll tell you what it is. This is our commander right here. And down here, I'm highlighted in green, and then the green flag is because I'm running the healing extension. I'll tell you more about that later. The little white icons on me, they only show up for the person who recorded the data. And this is just saying that in the squad, I was one of the top players for these attributes. So I was running Heal Scrapper. I was one of the top players of Healing Power, which makes perfect sense. If you want to learn more about that, you can mouse over this tooltip. It'll tell you why that's there. So let's scroll down and we'll start looking at some of the stats. This is the full fight summary. And the beginning, it starts with general stats and damage stats. Now the first thing you want to do is you want to go over here and click all twice to sort it. Any of these columns can be sorted by clicking them. Now why I click and sort this here on all is because this will show the total damage done by the character. The target damage is just if you have an enemy selected. So if you're running a lot of AoE attacks or cleave attacks, this is going to show your total damage, and you can see for our top DPS player this number is quite a bit higher than this number over here. So sort this twice and you can see our top players were a Mechanist and a Weaver and a Mirage. And here you can see at the top players just in power, which is the same, and then our top Condi players, you can see are actually our Scourges. They're doing most of our Condi damage. So that's a really easy stat to look at for DPS players. Our next tab is gameplay stats. Now whenever you see this target in all, like I said, we want to always say all because it's showing our AoE damage and our cleave damage, not just a single target damage. There's not a lot of things you really want to look at on this page. The first thing that I usually look at is over here. This one's kind of fun. So this is the average distance to the commander for the duration of the fight. So you click it to sort. There's our commander. He was playing Virtuoso and he's 0. So you can see that this is how many units away that these players were on average for the duration of these 6.5 minutes. So I'm in green. I was at 300. Not bad. You basically want to be less than 600. So you can see there's quite a few people less than 600. So those people are staying pretty close to tag, which is awesome. When you get further down and you see people like in the thousands, that usually means they died and had to run back, or maybe they were at spawn, or maybe they were scouting. And down at the very bottom, you can see it does the averages per squad. So our commander was in group 2. His group was less than 300 units from him for the duration of the fight, which is just amazing. And also group 7 did really well. They were 440. That's really awesome. Good job. So let's go back up to the top and I'll show you a few more things to look at here. The first one is the percent of times you hit critical. You sort this. This is for people who really want to max out their crit chance. You can see that this person was doing almost 90% crit chance. The second one here is the percent of time you hit while flanking. This one number is important because there are weapon sigils that activate on a flanking strike. So you want to see if you're in the top up here, like maybe above 70%, to see if that weapon sigil is actually working for you. And the other weapon sigil one is here, the interrupts. There are weapon sigils that activate on an interrupt, like I have one that removes a boon when you interrupt a foe. So I want to make sure when I'm running that sigil that I'm getting quite a few interrupts in this section. Another thing to look at for DPS players is this column here. This is the number of times that the player put an enemy into the down state. So you can see that our lovely Weaver here put 2 players into the down state, and several other players put quite a few people into the down state. And then the next column next to it, the skull and crossbones, this is the number of times that that player actually killed the enemy. So once again, our Weaver and our Willbender, we're finishing the most enemies. So that's another great stat for a DPS player to see that you're doing your job. All right, we're going to go to the next one, defensive stats. This is right here, sort this. This is who took it to the face. Our poor little Scourge, player 19, took it to the face a lot. This is who took the most damage in the fight. And then this one here is who absorbed the most damage with barrier. And I thought this was interesting here because you can see this is a different Scourge. They took a lot of damage, but look at how much of it was absorbed by barrier. They're really using their Scourge abilities properly. And the other stat you want to look at on this page is number of dodges. All right, so sort this. So you can see in a 6.5 minute fight, our Chrono dodged 36 times. That's a lot of dodges, okay? And the Mechanist, the Willbender, and some Scrappers were dodging like crazy. So what is important here is if you sort this the other way, you can see there are players who didn't dodge at all in a 6.5 minute fight, or dodged once or twice, and yet the top guy dodged 36 times. You really got to dodge. It really helps you avoid that damage. Our last tab in this section is support stats. This is for our healers, and you can double click this to sort it. You can see this is cleanses on other people. So of course, our Scrappers are at the top here, and then our Orishir Tempests doing a really good job. This is cleanses on yourself, not that important. This is boon strips. We didn't have a Spellbreaker in our party that night. I was playing on Heal Scrapper. But you can see that Scourges do a really good job of stripping boons right now, and also our commander on Virtuoso did some good strips. This last column, this is how you find out who the nice person is in your party. This is how many resurrects they did. So we can see we have a Guardian and a Herald who were resurrecting our friends. All right, let's go to our next major tab, which is buffs. This is the boon table. You can see that all of the boons are listed here, and you can mouse over them if you don't remember what the icon represents. There's really just 2 things that I look at here. The first one is uptime. This is the percentage of time during the duration of the fight that you had that boon on you at least a little bit. So if we go over here to swiftness and sort that, you can see that player 35, this Scrapper, had 100% swiftness. So the entire fight, they had swiftness on them. If we go over here to fury, you can see our Herald had Fury on him, at least 1 stack of Fury for 57.5% of the fight. And I'm here highlighted in green at 53%. For stats like Might and Stability, which are a stack rather than a duration, it'll show you how many average stacks you had for the fight. So player 32 had 7.7 stacks of Might on average for the whole fight. And if you mouse over, you can see it says an uptime of about 83%. The same goes for Stability. It's a stacking boon. So this person had an average of 2.2 stacks of Stability with an uptime of 59%. So a little bit of a different stat depending on which boon it is. So that's uptime. Now you can see there's these other tabs here. Generation is what boons you've given to yourself. Generation group is what you gave to your party. Generation off group is everybody but your party. But this is the most important one, I think, for our support players, is generation for the whole squad, excluding what you gave to yourself. So if we look at this here, and let's go to regen, and we'll sort that down. Okay, so this is generation, percent generation given to the squad. So this is me, I'm highlighted in green. I was a Heal Scrapper. I generated 18% uptime to the squad of regen. And if we go to Vigor, we can see that this Heal Tempest player 17 generated 9% uptime to the squad. So this is where you can find out, like say you are a Guardian, we go to Aegis, you can see that here's our Guardians generating all the Aegis for the squad. over here on resistance, there's more guardians generating that. You know, resolution, more guardians. So if you're playing Hilbrand, you're thinking, I'm not really doing that much. No, this is where I see that your guardians are doing a really good job. So generation of the squad is what you're giving to the squad, how you're helping your team. What I usually look at here is, let's go back to regeneration. So here I am, I'm playing Heal Scrapper, and I generated 18% uptime of regen for the squad. And that's great, that's amazing, because if we look down here and you compare yourself to others, okay, the next highest person is an Aura Share doing 7, and then the other scrappers are doing 4 and 3. And then there's a scrapper way down here doing 2. So if I was player 13 and I'm like, wow, I only made like less than 5% regen. Look at this scrapper up here doing 18% regen. Like, what are they doing different? And I would, you know, reach out to that person and say, you know, your regen was amazing. Can you help me figure out what I'm doing wrong? How can I do better regen? And it could be something simple, like I'm running a different sigil or rune or trait, you know, but you don't know until you ask. So I use this as a comparison to see, you know, player 27 did 8% protection, you know, and player 37 did 6. Like, that's not so bad, but like, you're down here, player 30 only did 2. So player 30 might want to ask player 27, hey, how did you do so much protection? The other thing you want to look at here is, if you're feeling you're getting yoinked around a lot, go to stability, and you can sort it for uptime, okay, and sort it down. So player 8, this Scourge here, had less than 1 stack of stability for the duration of a 6-minute fight with an uptime of only 16%. So because they didn't have any stab, then for like 85% of that fight, they were going to get yoinked. All of these players with less than 1, they were going to get yoinked around. So that's just a way to say that, yeah, these parties aren't getting the stabs. And it's kind of interesting. I can look over here and see that these are the soul beasts. You can see that they were in subgroup 1. See, this is the subgroup, the party. They were, a lot of these players in party 1 just weren't getting stabbed because they were in party 1 and they probably didn't have a guard. So that's something that you can look at if you're feeling you're getting yoinked around a lot. You can tell why. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly go through these other little sub tabs here. So what we're looking at here is, these are offensive buffs. So these are any class-specific buffs that help the team with damage. So we only have 3 on this fight. We have Assassin's Presence, which is a Revenant. We have 1 Wolf Pack, which is a Ranger. We have Static Charge, which is Ellie. So if you're looking at squad generation, you can see we only had 1 Herald. He generated 12% uptime of Assassin's Presence. If we go back over to total uptime, you can see that on himself, the Herald had 85% uptime of that, and that I was second with 75% uptime. The Herald was actually in my party. But if you scroll down, you can see that that boon was given, or buff was given, to everybody in the squad at some point. So that Herald can be like, yeah, I'm helping. I helped everybody with a little bit extra ferocity. Going next to support buffs, these little blue icons are the auras. So if you're an Aura Share Tempest, you can go here and see, like, player 17 gave 18% fire aura. You can see Frost Aura, player 17, 26%, player 14, 25%. That's uptime for the duration of the fight. And you can see that they shared that aura with a lot of players, Generation for the squad, you can see who generated the most Frost Aura was 17. Who generated the most Shocking Aura was player 21. You can also see who generated the most super speed for the squad. There's all our scrappers. So you just mouse over all these, figure out what they are. Defensive buffs, who generated these defensive buffs that help with healing or survival. This one here is a Healbrand skill. It's book 2, chapter 5. It increases your healing effectiveness. So if you sort this generation for the squad, player 27 did that and had an uptime of 17%. So just more buffs that you can look at. This condition table, I have no idea what this is. It doesn't make sense to me. Moving on. Gear buffs. Okay, so these are runes and sigils, and if they would be effective for you. So this is Monk rune, and this is a healing rune. So this activates on the 6 bonus and creates a healing effectiveness. So you can see here I'm highlighted in green. So this actually gave me this bonus 6 times out of 10 for the fight. So max is 10, I got it 6. These people were also running and got it 6. Let's go over here for you DPS players. This one here, Sigil of Bloodlust. Okay, this is a stacking sigil, max stack of 25. So for the duration of the fight, these 3 players had their maximum Bloodlust stacks for the whole fight. So our Weaver, our Scourge, and our Chrono. This Firebrand here, 24.7. They almost had maximum stacks for the fight. These people didn't. So if you don't have your max stacks, that's going to give you less DPS, and you maybe want to work on getting those stacks up. The other one is this healing stacking sigil. So I was running it and player 13 was running the sigil. We had 25, but player 17, the Tempest Orshare, only had 15 stacks going into this fight. So this is a good way to find out whether or not these runes are actually working for you. So the Sigil of Life is another healing one. Player 37 had their full stacks. Player 21 didn't have their full stacks. So this is our last little sub-tab, which is personal buffs. This is getting into the territory of what kind of nitpicky stuff. But it's interesting to look at. I don't know all the classes really well, so I'm going to stick to classes that I know. So we have Engineer. I was playing Hail Scrapper. So if we sort this here, this is Medkit. You can see that player 18 was in Medkit for 90% of the duration of this fight. I'm highlighted in green, so I was in Medkit for 69% of the fight. As a Heal Scrapper, you want to be rotating between Medkit and Elixir Gun and your weapon set. So this is where you can see, like, did I switch to my other weapons or my Elixir Gun enough times? Let's go over into Elementalist. So this is here, you can see the attunements. If you sort here, Water Attunement, you can see player 14 was in Water Attunement for 84% of the fight. So they were doing a lot of healing. They switched into Air for 15. They never went into Fire or Earth. So like I said, it's just a little bit nitpicky stuff if you want to see rotations or boons, buffs, just personal stuff. Okay, so we're going to go to the next major tab, which is damage modifiers. If you see target and all, always switch to all because you want to see your cleave and your AoE damage, not just your single target damage. So this one is gear-based damage modifiers. So what that means is you can see that it's runes that give a damage modifier to you if they are activated. Now what I want to explain here is this doesn't mean that everybody was running these runes. What this means is it's showing you would this rune have worked for you if you were running it. So a Scholar rune here is a common DPS rune that gives a 5% strike damage if your health is over 90%. So this table is showing which people would have benefited from the Scholar rune if they were running it. So 5% strike damage. All of these people here, all of these players here with 5%, their health was above 90% for the duration of that 6.5 minute fight. So they would have received the full 5% damage increase if they were running a Scholar rune. So this is how you can tell, like, if player 27 had Scholar runes on for extra damage, yeah, that actually would have worked for them. If you scroll down here and you say player 7, you know, they didn't have health above 90%. That Scholar rune wouldn't have worked for them. And so that person might want to consider switching to Eagles or something like that. So you can look at each of these runes, and if you are running one of these runes, you can see whether or not it would have worked for you. Shared damage modifiers, one wolf pack. It's a ranger thing. We don't use it very often. Class-based damage modifiers. This is another really kind of nitpicky min-max sort of thing that you can tell if your traits are working for you. So if we start out with Revenant here, this is Vicious Reprisal, and you get 10% strike and condi damage if you have resolution. So a maximum of 10% according to the tooltip, and our Herald had 5.6, so a little more than half he was benefiting from this trait. Not really great. Maybe want to consider going into your trait line and switching that out. You can tell this one can be switched. It's a major trait because it is a square. This one over here is a minor trait because it's a hexagon. So if you're running that trait line, this trait is going to be active whether you like it or not. Ferocious Aggression, you get 7% strike, condi, and life leech damage when you're under the effects of Fury. So max of 7% according to this tooltip, and they had 5.3. So that one's actually working for them. So this is a little tricky. If you really know your class, if you're into theory crafting, you can go through these tabs and check out all your little traits and see whether a certain trait is working for you. All right, next major tab. This is a graph. Ooh, it's pretty. Lots of colors. I don't really look at this much. It's showing DPS over time. It's nice, right? The next one, rotations. Whoa, more colors. Okay, so this one is something that a commander might look at if he wants to compare the players and what their rotations look like. it's pretty complicated. I'll show you a little bit later a better place to look at rotations. This is me, player 26, and every one of these little lines is a spell that I cast for the duration of the fight. So when I say healing is hard and there's a lot of buttons, I'm not even joking. Look at all the buttons I pressed compared to someone like player 27 who's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to press a button now and then. I bet you this is another heal. Yeah, this is another healer right here. Yeah, lots of buttons. And who's this? Oh, this is an Ellie. Yeah, piano playing. I'll show you later on, like I said, where there's a better place to look at rotations. Next tab, target summary. This tab is cool. This is what the enemy player did to us. So enemy players outgoing damage. You can sort here, percent damage. So we received from the enemy barrage, meteor shower, burning lava font, all of this stuff. There's a lot of little tabs here, little columns, but they're not that important because we can't change what the enemy is doing. What we look at here is the major skills that we were getting hit with so we can know how to counter them. All right, so we can, block or absorb the barrage. We can cleanse the burning. The other interesting little thing here is incoming damage. This is the damage that we did most to them. So our flamethrower NGs were doing 11% of the damage. We were doing a lot of condies on them. Spatial surge. That's our virtuoso was doing a lot of damage. The other ones, they're not really that accurate. Like, look at that. That doesn't make any sense at all. So don't even bother looking at those. So our last tab is player summary. This one's pretty important if you want to look at how well you're doing. I'm going to choose a DPS player because I was playing heals. Let's go up and choose our mechanist friend up here. And we put this on all. And you can see here, player summary, outgoing damage. The most damage they did, this column here, 26% from energizing slam. Then they did a lot of burning, then a mace strike. And as a mechanist, you can also see what your robot is doing. If you go let's switch to this ranger, you can see they had a smoke scale. You can see the damage the smoke scale did. And oh, actually, this is probably where you can see the difference between target and all. So if you have it on target, that's not including AoE or cleave damage. So you can see their top damage skills were long range shot, rapid fire, and barrage. If you switch to all, long range shot, barrage, rapid fire. So that shows how barrage does more AoE damage. The other thing you want to look at here is your incoming damage. This is what the enemy did to you. What did you get with? It's pretty similar to the other one that we showed, the target summary. This ranger was getting him with barrage, long range shot, but also lightning storm, stuff like that. This is another great place to not only look at your own rotations here, but to look at other players' rotations. So let's go back to me. I was playing a heel scrapper, and say you want to learn how to play a heel scrapper. You can look at my rotation here. So we're highlight the person you're interested in, player summary, simple rotation. This is my rotation. This is all the buttons I pressed in that fight. Okay, so you can see each one of these is a weapon swap. You can see here, if you mouse over, what skills. I started out in pistol shield. I weapon swapped to medkit. Then I went back to pistol shield. Then I went to elixir gun. Then medkit, elixir gun, pistol shield, elixir gun, medkit. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, healing is hard. Okay, so you can see my whole rotation. You could reach out to me and say, wow, you're a great healer, help me out. Maybe I don't respond. Maybe I don't speak English and I don't know what your email said. But this is the way that you can spy on someone and learn what they're doing. So say you wanted to learn how to play Virtuoso, you can go and see, this is the Virtuoso's attune or rotation. They were in Greatsword the entire time. The other one, you can see consumables. You can see that they were eating flatbread and had a tuning crystal. You could even see, like, player has never died. Yeah, well, he's the commander. So what you want to do here is, if you're interested in someone, let's say there's me, and here's my simple rotation. Like I said before, you can go over here, and when it's a regular report, it'll show the player's name. So this will show my healer's name is Wifty. And when you mouse over the account 26 here, will say my actual in-game account. So you could go spiral.1234, put that into a mail, send a mail and saying, you did a great job. Do you mind helping me out with my build or whatever? Teach me how to play heel scrapper. So 2 final quick things and then we're done. Up here at the very top, we're going to go to combat replay. This is totally cool. I just love this. Okay, so this is EPG. This is us. Is that incredible? Okay, so you can play it and you can zoom in and you can see the fight. Look at, there's us. We're running. You could speed it up 2 times as fast. Whee! Slow it down. Pause. Look at us, we're all running. Okay, this is totally cool. Over here on the side, this is all of our players. You can scroll down, see all the players, and you can watch them and what skills they're doing in like time of the fight. Okay? The other really cool thing here, go over here. This is me, I'm player 26. Make sure you're highlighted. And scroll down, this is a little bit hard to navigate. Scroll down. Okay, so I'm a heal scrapper, and a lot of my skills are in a cone. Also, guardians have a lot of cone skills. So you can display the cone on the game here, on this replay. Make sure you're highlighted. Press play. Now you can see, whoa, it's a little choppy, but let's look at it. You can see this is my cone. This is my area of effect. So you can see that I'm turning around to spray the tail. I'm trying to heal the tail and help them catch up to us. You know, and I'm whipping around, I'm spraying here. And the other thing you can do is if you have a circle effect, you can put that circle on. You can see the green circle here. You can see whether or not your skills are actually hitting properly. Like, am I staying in the center of the squad? Am I spraying my cone towards the majority of the group? You can see me spinning around and spraying my cone. You can watch, okay, this Will Bender's taken off. He's going off on his own. So this is a great way to get context of the fight, like where were we, what were we doing at this time? We were going into SMC. Oh, you can see somebody is down. Oh, this person's going to go back and help that down. Also, actually, you can see if it's in blue, that person is in my party. That Herald was in my party. So you can see I come back here and I'm like, oh, I've got to help this guy. He's trying to res that down. You can see this person up here is dead. Oh, this nice person's going to res them. That's so nice. Yeah, and like I said over here, you can see everybody's skills and what they're doing. But I usually just use this for context. Like I said, like, were we at EBG? Were we at air? What was this fight about? Were we getting hit by mortar fire? That sort of stuff. That's pretty cool though, right? Look at this. You can see the soul beast over here. They probably died. They're running back. The Scourge is off, living their best life. All right, so the last tab, the saddest tab, healing statistics. This just doesn't work. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. And Arc knows that it works. Okay, so because it says down here, full fight healing summary, data may be incomplete due to not everybody running the healing stats add-on. You can click this little link and go get the healing stats add-on and make sure to enable logging and all that. But it's not that important because if not all the healers are running it, it doesn't count. So you can see here, I have a green flag because I'm running the healing stats add-on, but there is no one else in the party who is running it. So that means that the statistics are just inaccurate. So if we see here all healing, it'll say, this is me, I did 780,000 healing for this fight. And the next person did 17,000. Like, that's obviously not right. So this is healing stat, outgoing healing stats. So what I use this for is instead to be a comparison. So player 18 did 17,000, but player 13 scrapper only did 7. So this may or may not be accurate, so just kind of take it with a grain of salt, but you can say, oh, if I'm player 18, you know, I'm doing okay. I seem to be at the top, okay? And the other thing you can look at here is your healing summary and go to all. So player 26, this is me. You can see that over here, my percent of healing, most of my healing came from regen and then medical dispersion field. If you go to the other healer, let's go to player 13. They're running hammer. It's a different sort of fight. So you can see that most of their healing was from actually a medical dispersion field, which is a trait that shares healing. So I'm really sorry the healing stats doesn't work properly. You can try running the add-on and it'll give you more accurate numbers for yourself, but you still wouldn't be able to compare yourself to others, which is fine. You just want to learn how you can be the best healer you can be. Okay, so that is it for how to read the ARC logs. I hope it was helpful for you. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Discord or in the game or leave a comment under the video and I'll try and get back to you and answer your questions. Just want to remind you that ArcDPS is a tool to help you learn how to be a better player, and it's not meant to criticize anybody. I use it a lot to make sure that I'm doing the right thing on a class, especially if I'm learning a class, and to also see who in my squad is better than me so that I can reach out to them and ask for help so I can do the best that I can on whatever class I'm playing. So thanks for listening again, and I will see you on the battlefield.